We don't need a burden like you anymore. We can't take care of you any longer." Why would you say that? How am I supposed to live on my own if I can't see? Living with 3 people is economically tough. It's easier just being 2 of us, and we want to live more comfortably from now on. Don't interfere with our lives. Being told this all of a sudden, I can't think of anything. Why don't you contact your grandparents? Maybe they can arrange a place for you to live. That's how I ended up moving to my grandparents' house. 12 years have passed, and suddenly my parents came to my place. You started your own company. Now that you're a CEO, we hope you can take care of us too. What are you saying all of a sudden? We're not family anymore. There's no need for me to take care of you. Is that how you speak to your parents? My parents were surprised to be spoken to like that. I am Margaret, and I attend a public junior high school. I have been visually impaired since birth, and I cannot see. Despite this, my parents loved and cared for me when I was little. They were by my side, supporting and encouraging me. Sometimes I feel down because I cannot see, but having my parents with me helped me regain a positive attitude, and I felt I could overcome any difficulties. My parents supported me despite my visual impairment, treating me kindly no matter the circumstances back then. Despite the difficulties my blindness must cause them, they never spoke harshly to me. Even when I occasionally felt down and voiced my frustrations, they understood and responded warmly. If you ever have trouble at school, tell us right away. We are always here to support you. Thank you for saying that. Things are going well for now, so don't worry. But if anything comes up, I'll be sure to tell you immediately. Don't worry, I'll drive you to and from school every day, no matter how busy I am. I'll always make time. And if there's anything you want, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you. Even though I chose a school that's a bit far, you've made all my wishes come true, and I'm very happy. Since you struggle more than others on a daily basis, it's only natural for us to support you this much. But you shouldn't worry about being different from others. Honestly, there are times when I lose confidence in myself. At least once a month I feel down. But even in those times, having you both around helps me get through it, Mom, Dad. I'm glad you feel that way. As your parents, we're sorry for any burden we may have caused you. We'll do everything we can to help. You don't need to worry, Mom, Dad. It's nobody's fault that I can't see, so I'd be happy if you could continue as usual without any worries. Of course, being able to see would be more convenient, but your kindness matters more to me, so I don't worry too much. Thanks to your support, I can stay positive, and I've been able to make many friends because of it. I am truly grateful to you both for your warm support at all times. Although there are many challenges because I cannot see, I hardly feel any inconvenience thanks to your help. Furthermore, at school, my friends are very kind, so I rarely have any troubles, and if there's a problem, someone always lends a hand. While I think I shouldn't rely too much on others, having a visual impairment means I inevitably need help from those around me. I feel bad about it, but my friends are always kind to me. Margaret, if you ever have any trouble, please tell us anytime. It must be hard at school without your parents, so feel free to rely on us. Thanks to you all, I'm enjoying my school life. It would have been very difficult without everyone. I know you struggle with many things regularly, Margaret. If you have any troubles, please feel free to consult us anytime. You don't have to force yourself to talk about things that are difficult to say. Don't worry, Mom, Dad. I feel comfortable discussing anything with you all, even things that are hard to tell the teachers. When you say things like that, Margaret, it makes me feel a bit shy. You've had a lot of struggles because you can't see. It makes me realize that seeing is not something to take for granted. Being blind has its challenges, but I'm really happy that I've been able to make friends like this. If it weren't for my condition, maybe we wouldn't have become friends. When I think about it, there are some good things about being blind. I think it's wonderful that you can stay so positive, Margaret. You must have a lot of great people around you. Really, if you have any problems, let me know right away. Thank you always. I'll continue to appreciate everyone's kindness. As the days went by, graduation day approached. I felt very sad about graduating because I had received so much help from everyone. Feeling this way, I was suddenly called by my parents for a talk. Usually, my parents would come to my room to talk, so being summoned made me a bit anxious. Wondering what it was about, I went to my parents, who then spoke with a serious tone. "Margaret, have you thought about what you want to do after graduating from junior high?" "I want to go to high school. It would be best if I could go to the same high school as my friends. I think public schools are less expensive than private ones. Even public schools cost money. We don't have that kind of spare money, so you'll need to work after you graduate. I feel bad for making it tough on you, but I really want to go to high school. I'll get a job after graduating from high school and pay back the school fees. So, please. We can't afford it. We've decided to support you only until middle school. We don't want to support you through high school. I really appreciate the support you've given me so far, Mom, Dad. But I think graduating from high school will increase my future income when I start working. No matter how you argue, we can't afford to send you to high school. If you won't work, the only option is for you to leave this house. Why are you being so cold all of a sudden? You've always been close to me, and I'm shocked to see your attitude change so suddenly. Middle school is compulsory education, so we had no choice. Graduating from high school won't make much difference in your salary. If you don't work, it's as if there was no point in having you. I've never heard such a thing before, and I didn't know you felt this way. What was all the kindness until now? Please, let me go to high school. We've endured whatever dissatisfaction we had because it would be troublesome if you failed during compulsory education. So there's no need to be kind to you anymore." Suddenly, my parents became strict, as if they were completely different people. The kindness and gentleness they had shown before disappeared so suddenly that I couldn't understand why. I couldn't keep up with how much they changed, and I was even more confused because they didn't explain anything to me. I don't ever recall being told to work after graduating middle school, and being suddenly told to do so left me unprepared. My parents didn't consider what I say, and I was at a loss for how to respond. Until then, I had thought my parents were truly wonderful people, and I was even grateful to be their child. But suddenly, it was the complete opposite. Why did my parents have to be them? In the meantime, I decided to give it some time, calm my feelings, and then talk about high school again. "Dad, Mom, I want you to listen to me. I plan to start my own company in the future and make a lot of money. I want to give back to you two as a way to show my gratitude. You're blind. How can such a reckless dream ever come true? Where in this world is there a blind CEO? That's right, becoming a CEO is impossible. Once you graduate from middle school, start working immediately and hand over all your salary. That's what we expect from you. I've been supported by you both and my friends, so now I want to be someone else's support. That's why I want to create a place where visually impaired people can shine. For that, I want to study business management in high school and college. That's impossible, so give up on such thoughts. There's no way we can see that happening. It's enough if you just get a normal job. Why don't you understand even after all we've said? Mom, Dad, why can't you understand my feelings? Before, you were always on my side. You would have surely supported this dream too. We already talked about this. We've been patient only until compulsory education ends. We're saying you won't be able to go to high school, let alone college. That's out of the question. So you should start working immediately after middle school ends. Why don't you understand? I really want to start my own company and contribute to society with people who have visual impairments. If you have any affection left for me, I wish you would watch over me a little longer. When I become a CEO and start earning a lot, I'll be able to give back to you in a much bigger way. What will you do if the company doesn't succeed? If it fails and you end up in debt, are you planning to push that responsibility onto us? How selfish can you be? We will never approve. There's no other way than working after middle school ends. so thinking about anything else is pointless. If you really say you won't work after middle school, then you have no choice but to leave this house. Why is it like this? What am I supposed to do if I leave this house alone? I can't even focus on my exam studies. What should I do? Why don't you contact your grandmother? Maybe she can help you find a place to live. Studying isn't a waste, after all. But if you want to stay in this house, the only way is to work after you graduate middle school. My parents wouldn't listen to me at all, and I was deeply hurt by their attitude. The most shocking thing was that they even told me to leave the house. They suggested relying on my grandparents, but in reality, I wasn't very close to them, and it seemed they also found my visual impairment troublesome. They were never kind to me. So, I never intended to rely on them from the start. Still, I couldn't give up on starting my own business, and I faced a situation where I must seriously consider my future path. I couldn't discuss this with my friends, and I had to figure it out alone. It was the first time I had something I couldn't talk to my friends about. I had no idea what to do next and felt completely lost. Feeling uneasy, I returned home and tried to open the door, but for some reason, the key wouldn't go in. Wondering why, I decided to press the doorbell. Soon I heard my mother's voice. "Mom, it's me. I can't get the key in, and I can't open the front door. Could you open it from inside?" Of course the key doesn't fit. We changed the locks on the front door. Why should I have to open it? I have no intention of letting you in the house, and I'm not going to give you a new key. You changed the locks? I had no idea. What do you mean I can't enter the house? Mom, what are you saying? We don't need a burden like you anymore. We can't take care of you any longer, so don't come back here. Why would you say that? How am I supposed to live on my own if I can't see? It's too sudden to understand. And a burden. Are you really saying that to your own child? I don't consider you my daughter anymore. You don't need to think of us as your parents either. Just find a way to live on your own somewhere we don't know. Is that really how you feel? Are you saying it's my fault I can't see? I wished I had been born without any disabilities just like everyone else. Why do I have to go through this? It's because you keep saying things like wanting to go to high school or start a business, which make no sense. If you had just worked as we told you, we wouldn't have had to kick you out of the house. You've brought this on yourself. Then my father's voice joined in. Living with 3 people is economically tough. It's easier just being 2 of us, and we want to live more comfortably from now on. Don't interfere with our lives. Being told this all of a sudden. I can't think of anything. Why don't you contact your grandparents? Maybe they can arrange a place for you to live. Am I really being so unreasonable? Just for wanting to go to high school, I have to endure this treatment? I can't understand what you are saying at all. It turned out that the front door locks were intentionally changed. I never imagined I would be treated like this. The support until that time was just because they expected me to work, and as soon as I expressed a desire to continue to high school, their attitude changed completely, as if it had flipped 180 degrees. Certainly, having a disability would make me more troublesome compared to a child without one, but I never thought I would be abandoned by my own parents. If they had told me this from the start, maybe I could have prepared myself mentally, but being told so suddenly, there's no way I could handle it right away. It seemed my parents were nearly unanimous in their thinking, but I still held a strong desire not to give up on my dream of starting a business. Of course, I fully understood the difficulties and barriers associated with having a disability, but my desire to realize this dream on my own remains unshaken. There was also anxiety that I, being blind, might be ridiculed for attempting this challenge, but still, I had no choice but to move forward to achieve my dream. I decided to take on this challenge to fulfill my dream. As the first step, I thought it was necessary to arrange a place to live, so I decided to ask if I could stay at my grandparents' house. Upon arriving at my grandparents' house and pressing the doorbell, my grandmother appeared. "Margaret, is that you? What's the matter all of a sudden? Were we expecting you today? I'm sorry for coming suddenly. I've been kicked out of the house and have nowhere else to go. Can I stay here for a while? Being told this all of a sudden, it's difficult to take care of someone blind. It's impossible for us. I don't know what you did, but you should apologize properly and ask to be let back into your home. I've talked about it many times, but we're at an impasse. I've been practically thrown out and I can't even think of them as my parents anymore. Please let me stay here. I won't be a bother to you, Grandma, Grandpa. Even if you say that, it's impossible for us. If you're going to resent someone, resent your own parents. Aren't we all family? Do I have to be treated this way just because I'm blind? What am I supposed to do? It's easy for you to think that way. You don't understand how hard it is to live with someone who is blind. We're old, too. We're already overwhelmed with just ourselves. If even you abandon me, I won't be able to live on. Is it really so hard to live with me? I do everything I can on my own. No matter how much I plead or explain my situation, my grandmother's attitude did not change, and she had no intention of taking care of me. Watching her maintain this stance, I struggled to understand how she could say such cold things to her own granddaughter. While I understood that living with someone with a visual impairment is very difficult, it should not be my own fault that I have this disability. If I had recognized earlier what I should do on my own, the situation then might have been quite different. Thanks to the support from my parents, I was able to go that far. Having that support suddenly disappear was extremely painful and hard for me to bear. Realizing I could no longer rely on my family, I reluctantly decided to ask my friends for help. As I walked, I was overwhelmed by memories of recent events, and my emotions started to whirl so intensely that I couldn't move. Unable to walk properly as my body wouldn't cooperate, I finally called a friend and asked them to meet me at the nearby station. You called me out of the blue. I was surprised. What happened? I've never seen you so down. Something serious must have happened, right? I was suddenly kicked out by my parents. I was so desperate that I went to my grandparents' house, but they wouldn't let me in either and said horrible things. I was at a loss. I can't believe it. To do such things to their own daughter and granddaughter. They're not family. Let's go to my house for now. You can stay with me for a while. I can't do that. I'll try to persuade my parents one more time, even if it seems hopeless. I don't think they'll understand, but I have to try. I think that's best too, but from what you've told me, it sounds difficult. Changing the locks on the house isn't normal. It doesn't seem like something you'd just think of all of a sudden. They must have been planning it. Yeah, it's unthinkable, really. I still can't believe they've changed so much. I used to think I was lucky to be born to my parents who always put me first. The parents you knew before were just pretending. You might not want to believe it and it might be hard to accept, but I think this attitude now is their true nature. It's tough, but I guess I have to accept reality. I know it might be a bother, but can I lean on you just a little bit? I'll start working part-time once I go to high school and contribute to living expenses. Why don't you live with me then? I was planning to start living on my own when I got to high school anyway. It's not a big place, but it should be enough for the two of us. I'll help you out if anything happens. Thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm sorry to drag you into this. Is it okay with your family that I come to your house? My dad and mom love you too, Margaret. They'll understand if we talk to them. We can commute together from my house until you graduate from middle school. I really have nothing but gratitude. I'll make sure to do everything I can on my own and help out. If your parents find it tough, just let me know, and I'll leave right away. I wouldn't allow that. I've always been an only child, so having you around is like having a sister, which makes me happy. Thanks to my friend, I was able to find a place to live. I had never imagined being kicked out of my family home, and I was shocked by the suddenness of the event. Could a middle school student imagine being abandoned by their family? Yet I was facing such a situation, and I felt the pain of potentially causing more trouble to my friend and their family. I strongly felt that I must become able to support myself. To do that, I needed to find ways to become independent. Specifically, I was thinking of starting a part-time job to earn my own money and reduce the burden on my friend and their family as much as possible. I was increasingly facing a situation where I could no longer just rely on my friends' help. Months have passed since I was kicked out, and during that time, there were absolutely no contact from my parents, nor any news from them. My friend was also surprised and confused by this situation. Even though they kicked you out, aren't they worried about where you're living? If you're not at your grandparents' either, normally anyone would think there might be something wrong. It's really terrible that they haven't contacted you at all. I think so too. Since my parents and grandparents were estranged, they probably don't think I'm at my grandparents'. But still, they should at least call to check on me. That's how it was, huh? You weren't lucky with either your parents or your grandparents. It's amazing how well you have turned out. You did not stray off the righteous path despite being around such people. I've decided to stop thinking about my family. It was an unpleasant experience, but I think I can become a person who understands other people's pain. I'll use this as a springboard to achieve my dreams. I really admire your positivity, Margaret. I wish I could live like that. I think I'd be hurt and give up. I wasn't blessed with family, but I have a friend like you. That's why I'm going to study hard to repay you and your family. You don't need to repay me. We're friends, and it's natural to help when someone's in trouble. Like I said before, I'm happy to have a sister. After living with my friend for a few months, I was able to graduate from middle school. Eventually, I firmly decided to go to high school, studied hard, and entered as a scholarship student. As a result, I was able to enjoy my high school life without worrying about tuition. If I had followed the path my parents suggested back then, I wouldn't have experienced the fulfilling days I have now. Thanks to my friend's help, I was able to grow and learn in this environment, and I am truly grateful for that. Since entering high school, I've carried a strong determination to achieve my dreams, no matter what. I devoted myself to my studies every day and worked part-time, making the most of my time and efforts. My hard work paid off, and I earned a recommendation for university during my high school years. With this recommendation, I was able to move on to university smoothly, without taking entrance exams. Additionally, the university scholarship program relieved me of financial burdens, allowing me to focus entirely on my studies, which was a tremendous help. In this way, I was able to walk the path I had always wanted. 12 years have passed, and suddenly, my parents came to see me. The suddenness of it left me completely stunned. "We finally found you. Why didn't you call your parents even once? You're still the same as ever." "Oh, it's you. Who didn't call who? After what you did, you have the nerve to show up now. What's wrong with visiting our own daughter? Have you forgotten how much we supported you? You've completely changed since we last saw you. It's been 12 years since I was kicked out of the house. I will never forget that incident. At that time, being thrown out meant I no longer had a family. From your current perspective, such things might not seem like a big deal anymore, right? I heard through the grapevine that you've started your own business and are successful. You're a CEO now, aren't you? So what? I don't need you playing parents now. You have no idea how much that ordeal hurt me. As my parents came to know, I have indeed founded my own company and have been successful as its CEO. I majored in business administration in college, and now I run a business that serves people with visual impairments, which is progressing smoothly. My income is likely much higher than if I had just gotten a job after middle school graduation. However, this is the result of clawing my way up from being abandoned by my family, not because they were positively involved. Now that they claim to be my parents, I cannot forgive them. The friend who supported me during those times works at my company under better conditions. It's my way of giving back to her. No matter that we're blood-related, I no longer want anything to do with my parents. I don't intend to have anything to do with you anymore, so don't come back. We can live as strangers. Just because I've succeeded doesn't mean I owe you anything. Don't be so cold. We helped you, remember. Have you forgotten that? You told me to work instead of going to high school and kicked me out, and now you dare to act superior? You're beyond insensitive. There's nothing more to discuss, so please leave. We're in trouble now. Your father lost money gambling. We just need enough to cover that debt. Can you pay it? Don't make it sound like I'm the only one with debts. You not only racked up debt but also cheated. We were supposed to pretend to be a couple just for today, and now your actions have ruined everything. Why bring that up now? Can't you do anything right? You're the one who spoiled the plan. It's only right that you get divorced. It appears that both of my parents have accumulated debts and have grown tired of each other, leading to their separation. Honestly, their troubles have nothing to do with me, but knowing they are struggling gives me a slight sense of relief. Somehow, it makes me feel a bit better. I can't believe they pretended to be a couple just to show up in front of me after hearing rumors about me. It's too convenient to ask for money just because we're related by blood. I prefer to repay my friend and their parents to the best of my ability, rather than my own parents. Talking to these people is a waste of time, so I decided to call security to have them removed. At that moment, my mother gathered all her strength and pleaded with me. Please. From now on, I will be by your side to support you. Let's live together. I no longer need a mother. I have a housekeeper at home, and I'm happily married. You're married? You didn't even report it. You have to contact your parents when you get married. What were you thinking? You told me to live as a stranger, so I was adopted by my friend's parents. You're no longer my parents or family, so there's no need to report my marriage to you. I guess we did do that. Are we really beyond help? Realizing there was nothing they could do, my parents turned pale and left without a word. Both must be deeply troubled by their debts. It's outrageous how they kicked me out and only approach me when they're in trouble. I have no intention of helping my parents in the future, no matter what happens. It seems they also went to my grandparents, but it appears they were turned away there too. I expected it, but it makes me chuckle to actually think about their situation. When I shared this with my friend, she laughed too. They got what they deserved for treating you so badly. I feel a bit better now. I was really surprised when they showed up at the company. Being blind helped me remain calm in handling the situation. If they had believed in and supported you like I did, things might have turned out differently. I'm so happy to be working with you, Margaret. If it weren't for you back then, I wouldn't be who I am today. I've come this far supported by you and your parents. I'm truly grateful. I'm grateful too. I'll continue to support you as we move forward. You may be the CEO at the company, but if you ever have any trouble, just tell me, and I'll be there to help. As a result of cutting me off and belittling me, my parents ended up suffering. Still, human nature doesn't change easily. Even if I had continued to obey my parents and lived with them, our family relationship would have inevitably broken down sooner or later. Unable to repay their debts, my parents eventually had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. Afterwards, having no one to rely on, they ended up living alone. On the other hand, I recently found out I am pregnant, and I feel that I can look forward to an even richer life ahead. I think the reason I feel so happy now is that I am deeply bonded with my partner in trust and love, and I feel our bond growing stronger every day. Looking back, when I graduated from middle school, I was terribly anxious about my future. Reflecting on it now, the anxiety I felt then seems almost like a lie. I realize that I have achieved my current happiness through my own efforts and the support of the people around me. There will surely be various difficulties and challenges ahead, but I plan to overcome each one together with my partner. I am prepared to face any challenge to build a happy family and walk towards a bright future with my child.